Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia. Welcome back to another early game playbook video. Today our guide will be covering Liu Biao, the Gentleman of the Han. Now Liu Biao here starts out in the middle of the map, and his starting situation is deemed hard, which I think is a mislabel, because I believe Liu Biao to be the easiest faction to play, even easier than Sun Jian. Liu Biao is a commander, and he excels at inspiring friendly troop, but weaker in melee, best group with retinues of melee cavalry, and his background bonus gives him plus 10 points of satisfaction, which is going to be huge on legendary playthrough, as there is a 10-point satisfaction debuff as part of the legendary difficulty. He also gets plus 2 public order, which is nice. In terms of faction specialization, he doesn't have any unique resources. Instead, his faction focuses on harmony and knowledge, so you get court tutors, or special court positions where it can help your characters gain experience. The playstyle focus is characters and politics, because you focus on managing your court with these new court positions, leveling up your characters and gaining extra skills, and your unique building is a lodging, which is replacement building for the inn. And instead of just providing the standard commerce and commerce multiplier, you also get bonus character experience. So this also plays into his knowledge-based playstyle. His unique faction units are the infantry of Jian. Jian is the province that he's located in. It's actually a huge province. Historically, Liu Biao will be covering almost this entire center portion of the map here, but instead in the game he starts out with just one small commandery. Now the upgraded version of infantry Jian, which you can think of as a boosted spear guard, it's a little bit stronger than a spear guard, but they're very similar. You also have the upgraded version, which is available after level 6. It's the Imperial Defender. Now these just very similar to the Great Spear Guards. So these two units, just basically upgraded version of the base game counterpart, which will still be available to Liu Biao's faction. Other than that, we also have Court Scholars, as we mentioned, as a new court position. And because we are a governor faction, we will never become emperor by ourselves. Even if we reach the rank of king, what will happen is just the 3 other strongest factions will trigger their emperor seats, and we can win the game by taking those 3 seats out. Noteworthy characters, we have Huang Zhong. He's one of the 5 tiger generals of Liu Bei. He is of the ageless strength, and I can see from his portrait, the only downside of Huang Zhong is that he starts the game off quite old. Because he's of the ageless strength, I think the game does favor him a little bit in that letting him die a little bit later on, but you still have very limited amount of time to use him. And if you look at Liu Biao's portrait, you can tell the same thing. He's also a tad old. Other than that, everything's pretty good. Let's jump into the game and have fun with this one. Alright, we jump into the game here. The first mission's quite similar. We have to fight the army in front of us, which is Liao Hua's army. We will talk about Liao Hua a little bit later when we actually do fight him. So if we start out the game, let's take a look around us, because the situation is quite different compared to other factions. You see here, it's not all red, which is usually the case. We start out with 2 vassals in Cai Mao and Huang Zu, who currently holds the livestock farm in Jiangling and the city and farmland of Jiangxia. Now they're going to be helping you defend your borders slightly to the south, but they'll also be restricting your expansion. We'll talk about how to deal with that a bit later. To our south, and directly basically where we start in enemy territory. We start out in Xiangyang's toolmaker, which is currently held by Yellow Turban rebellions, and we own the Xiangyang city. We are the faction that starts with one of the highest level commanderies in the game. We start out with a city, which means we consume 6 food per turn. And even though we have a land development building in here, we're still running at -3 food, which will impact our reserve. And once reserve hits 0, it will impact our population growth, our replenishment, and our public order. So it will have some consequences, but we're going to try our best to make the best of our situation. And to our east, we have the Han Empire, which you can see we're not at war with, because we're pretty good friends with Dong Zhuo over here. We are a faithful servant to the Han, and since Dong Zhuo is the prime minister right now, we are good friends with him, and we're gonna make good with that relationship. We do have some people who don't like us around us. If we look at diplomatic status, we do start out at war with He Yi, which is the Yellow Turban faction, and the Yellow Turban Rebellion, of course. And if you look at attitude, we're not very friendly with Yuan to our north and Sun Jian to our south, but they're not immediate threat because they don't actually gonna attack us right away despite our differences. Now, to start out our game, we have to look at ancillary items. Usually we don't look at these at all, but in this case, as you can see, this is actually a very poor start. We have 2 regular item plus 1 bronze item. Ideally, you would want at least 2 bronze items. If you could get a silver item, it'd be better, because in this strategy, we're going to be doing a lot of diplomacy deals early on. Now, if you get a poor item selection like this, you have 2 options. One, you can restart the game, obviously, since it's still turn 1, or you can just basically lose out a little bit on your economy early on by paying a bit more during your diplomacy negotiations. We're going to go with the later route. There's going to be no point to restart our game since we're making our guide, but you can feel free to restart on turn 1. The best items you could get on turn 1 is probably either a philosopher or a concubine, both of which will give you extra 10 points in satisfaction, which will help out a lot in our gameplay. But this is fine. We're going to be using these to trade right away. And before we enter into diplomatic negotiations, since our army is full health right now, so we have the highest point of military presence, we got to do some family matter first. So if we look at our army, we have Huang Zhong, which is our best general. He's 59 at the start of the game. So you see what I mean by him being old. He does have a legendary bow, the heirloom bow of Huang, with him. This is a very good weapon, but unfortunately in the last patch, bows got nerfed quite a bit, as generals are now very good at dodging shots. So this isn't actually as strong as it used to be, but it's still a nice weapon for him to have. And also the 15 point of cunning is also very high stat for an item. And if you look at Huang Zhong's skills, admin resolve is very similar to the standard sentinel skills, but the skills that he started out with is warning shot, which is a morale damage, a ranged morale damage on 30-second cooldown. So you could snipe out enemy units. It's not very good on generals, even though it does have the plus 120 seconds of ability cooldown. Perhaps you could use it to start out a duel. You fire this off at the enemy general, lower the morale, lock down their cooldown for using abilities, and then you start out a duel with them. It's not strong because it doesn't do damage, but it's quite good for you to use this ability to destroy enemy units, infantry or cavalry, as they charge towards you, because the 20 point of morale damage is actually going to be very significant. The debuff lasts for the entire 30 seconds, so you can put this on repeat and basically force unit to rout. Additionally, he has one additional skill that's unique to him called Swift Fingers. You get 100% extra range attack rate within a 50-meter radius around Huang Zhong at all time. This is a game changer, and this makes Huang Zhong one of the best generals in a full range comp, where you run 1 sentinel and 2 strategists. Where you don't even have to have Huang Zhong to have that many archers on him. You can have him build a few frontline units and just load up your strategists with range units, and Huang Zhong will give buffs through his skills like precision, and then he can also stand in the middle of the group, similar to how the Yellow Turban Huang Shao general plays, where you give extra boost to all your range units. 100% extra range attack rates, very good. Think about it. It doubles your damage per second, essentially. So Huang Zhong is an excellent general. You also have one of your sons. This is your oldest son, Liu Qi. Now, historically, you got along with him quite well early on in his life, but you took a new wife later on after his mom died, and then he fell out of favor once your new wife gave you a new son. So as you can see here, even though he's your eldest son, he's not your heir, and he doesn't get along with you. As you can see here, the harmony and disharmony, he doesn't like us very much. So in turn, we're not going to be treating him well. Just a little warning. And finally, we have our leader here, which has a unique armor. It gives you 30% range block chance, but a very nice 15% retinue upkeep discount. So you can load up some excellent unit on him for cheap. Other than that, there's not much to say. We can also now look at his court. So we have a lot of generals at the start of the game. If we look at our family tree, a lot of them are family. Our new wife, Lady Cai. She is the sister of Cai Mao, one of our vassals. And she is 32, we are 48. Go figure. And this is her son and our heir. He is Liu Cong. In the game, they made him 26, which makes no sense since his mom is 32. But in history, he's just a teenager, just hitting his early teens. But it's nice. I like him as an heir because he is a commander and he's also a peacekeeper, so he gives us +4 public order. It's not the best boost. Technically, Lady Cai's boost is a little bit better because it's magistrate, so you get +5 income from all sources. But Liu Cong's boost is not bad. We can live with it. And we also have a daughter, Liu Min over here. She's only 6, and she will be a strategist, and she'll grow up, and it's quite nice to have her as well. And we have a few generals, no one really standing out. These two are brothers, our strategists. One of them is very useful, the other one not so much. First thing we're going to do here is divorce our late wife. Now, she might be lovely, but we have better use for her. It will cost us 1,000 gold up front, but she will get us much greater benefits. So once we divorce her, we can start entering negotiations. Now, the first party we want to talk to is Sun Jian. Sun Jian doesn't like us because we have past hostilities, and also we have treaty with their enemy, aka Dong Zhuo. But he's still willing to talk to us. What we want from him is his best item. He has the Imperial Jade Seal. Now, we are the uncle to the emperor, a distant uncle, right? We're not like, if you want to go down, we're probably many removed, many generations ago. But technically, we're their uncle, and this seal belongs to our family. No need for Sun Jian to have it. And that's why we want good ancillary items to trade with people. So here, we have a farmer, which we'll give up. We always start with a wooden ox, so we at least have this item. We should keep this item. We need to keep this item for later negotiation. It works out in our favor in terms of money. And so we're just going to give the clay axe, and we don't have any more items left, which is kind of sad. Preferably, you want 2 bronze items or a silver and a common item in this negotiation. That will save you the most money. But here you see we're a full 7 points short. So in this case, we're just going to have to pay him. And I prefer to go with the per turn payment because it leaves us a lot of options. Now it's going to cost us quite a bit because it's 7. But as you know, these numbers jump very fast once they get to high numbers. So if the number is small, basically since we're doing 2 deals, if we have 2 small numbers, it's much better to have 1 big number and 1 really small number versus 2 medium numbers, just because you will save money that way. So the 7 here is actually not that bad because once it gets up here, things move very little in terms of money increases, but the diplomatic value jumps quite a bit. So here I'm just going to tweak it a little bit. I'm trying to get our max saving, which is going to, wait, why can't I input? Oh, there we go. So we input 500, it's not good enough. Let's do 505, 508. Just trying to save every penny. There we go, 510. A little bit cheaper than before. And that's going to be a huge chunk of our income, but that's fine. it's worth it considering we're getting the Imperial Seal. It'll come into play very soon. So we get this deal done and move on to deal number 2 with Dong Zhuo, our dear buddy here. We're not that friendly, but we do have a non-aggression pact between us. He did burn down the old capital, so I guess we don't like him for that. But he makes a good trade partner because he actually borders us. So we want a trade deal, and it's nice and positive 1.5, and we want to receive a marriage. And of course, you guys seen this in the Ma Teng early playbook video. We're getting the best general in the game in Liu Biao right away on turn 1 with our ex-wife, who since is a member of the ruling family, can be offered up in marriages. So we grab that. It's negative 3.2. That's why we saved the ox, because this would be a good item to soften up the deal. At negative 1.2, the value you need to pay this off is 100 gold per turn exactly. Not 1 penny more, not 1 penny less. And that will do it. Now, before we exit the game screen, let's talk about 2 points. One is trustworthy. So trustworthy impacts your diplomacy points. If you're not trustworthy, you get a huge penalty when you're negotiating with the other factions. Now, at our point in the game right now, it doesn't actually matter anymore because we kind of filled up our only trade slot. Now, obviously, if you're looking to build more trade partners later on, or you're trying to make other diplomatic moves, perhaps you want to keep your trustworthy high. And in our playthrough here, I am going to keep trustworthy exactly where it is at 0. We're not going to do anything untrustworthy to hurt ourselves. But if you are playing the game and you don't care about trustworthy and you want to play it in a way where you get the maximum abuse out of the enemy, you could consider using cancel deals, where since we're doing per turn payments to Dong Zhuo, we can cancel this deal later on to basically cause a big trustworthy issue, but we don't have to pay him the gold anymore, so he'll save us a lot of money, especially in Sun Jian's case where we're paying him hundreds of gold per turn for 10 turns. Now, the last thing we need to do before we exit this screen is we need to take a look at Cai Mao's inventory. So on turn 1, he's our vassal. On turn 1, you can do this with anyone. You just open up trade ancillary and you can take a look at what items he got. Now, this only comes into play if you are going the untrustworthy route, because you could annex your vassals. And when you annex your vassals, you're not going to get the item that's in there, the ones you see, right? These ones that's tradable, means they're not equipped on anyone. You won't get these, but you will get items that are on characters already. So if you want to annex them, make sure to annex them on turn 2. If you annex them on turn 1, you actually lose all the ancillary items. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, we're done with our diplomacy. Let's exit. We got our marriage. We got Liu Biao. Now, Liu Biao, as you all know, has a huge satisfaction issue at the beginning of the game because he has high desires for higher office and because he starts out rank 7, which is huge. So oftentimes in our Ma Teng Let's Play, for example, we got him and we were forced to find a way to make him our heir. Now, since I said we like our son, we like Liu Cong, what we're going to do is actually we're going to rank up quickly and make him our chancellor instead. Now, there are many ways where you can actually rank up on turn 1, where you can actually unlock this slot on turn 1 before you do anything, because we have the Imperial Jade Seal, which, as you can see, adds 25 prestige point. That's half of the amount you need to rank up, which is 50 at the beginning. So with this item right here, we're already at 41. This obviously combines our buildings and settlement level. Now, we can gain 5 more very easily by taking the tool maker, which will give us 5 more. And then we're 4 short for a rank up. So if you want to rank up on turn 1, which I do not recommend, if you rank up on turn 1, you can just annex Cai Mao, which will give you the livestock farm for another 5 prestige point. And as we said, you will lose out on all his ancillary item if you do this. You'll gain a huge amount of untrustworthiness, And on top of that, you can't actually assign Liu Bu into any of your positions on turn 1 that you got him. You have to wait at least till turn 2. I don't know why the game does this, but this is just the way things are. So even if you rank up and unlock the Chancellor spot, you can't assign him to that position until turn 2. So we must find an alternative way to keep him happy until then. So with that said, we are going to make our next move, which is to equip our items. We're done with Liu Biao. We only have one item technically. This item itself will give +8 satisfaction faction wide. It will add up to the 10 satisfaction you get from his character background, and additionally, because his high authority, you get +7. Now there's one more thing, actually a few more things you need to do. You gotta go to Liu Qi, our eldest son. I prefer to switch his armor. It doesn't make a huge difference, but this armor, if you look at the stat, is actually significantly worse than this armor, right? This one's only -6 expertise, +3 resolve, +3 instinct. If you equip to this one, you lose out 6 more expertise, you lose 10% speed, you lose out 10% melee attack rate. You do gain a charge bonus. So if you're not dueling and you're just charging in repeatedly, this is a decent armor trade-off, I guess. But we're gonna try to get him killed. Let me just say it straight, just be honest with you. We're gonna get Liu Qi killed. He will be a blood sacrifice to summon Liu Bu for free. That's our purpose here. Huang Zhong also needs an item change. He's holding on to the ceremonial sword, which is not really a great item for him. We don't have a better item, but we can give him the Jian, which will give him 9 expertise, which will increase his expertise stat, which will increase the melee evasion in combat, as well as make him -25% construction cost. Now this is going to matter because since we are going to try to rank up early, we're going to have an early administrator slot, which is perfect for Huang Zhong. Since he already have some decent administrator traits. So this will make everything cheaper for us. Additionally, our heir, Liu Cong, is holding the opposite weapon as Huang Zhong. He's holding the Jian, which gives him expertise, but what we want ceremonial sword for the +6 authority, because it's going to make a huge difference actually. If you look at his authority stat right now, it's a 77. You get +3 satisfaction faction wide. If we boost it up to 83 with this simple weapon switch, we get +5. Now you might think 2 points of satisfaction doesn't matter. It does matter a lot in the case of Liu Bu, because every point matters, and those 2 in particular is going to be very helpful. Because if you look at it right now, our positive factor is +90 and our negative factor is -118. So without those 2 points, the difference here will be 20 points exactly. Now 20 point, what concept is that? The concept is if we rank him up, right? Every rank we rank him up, we'll get a temporary 10-point boost to satisfaction. So if we rank him up twice, we get 20 points boost. And if we didn't have those 2 points on Liu Cong, we would make him from currently -18, basically -20 without those 2 points, will go up to 0, which means he will leave us on turn 2. But with those 2 points, he will be at just 2 points of satisfaction, which is still enough to make him stay with us. So that's why it matters a little bit. Okay, with all that said, we're going to be entering into this fight with Liao Hua over here. Now, simple fight, Yellow Turban, very poor units. We have a huge army, but we're going to fight this on the battlefield because we want to get our son, who doesn't like us, I repeat, doesn't like us, killed. Let's start. Alrighty guys, we loaded up in here. We don't see the enemy, but they're right behind this tree line, right in front of us. What we're going to do is move everybody to the right so that they can cut through the tree line over here and get a sight on them. But our son will stay right here. We're going to have him charge straight for the enemy, challenge the enemy general to a duel, and not use his ability to get him killed. He is no match for Liao Hua. So that's what we're going to plan to do. And for our army over here, we're just going to have the cavalry, which is his retinue, stay in the back, because they're actually going to rout the second their general dies. The death of their general will hurt their morale so much that they can't fight on anymore. So we don't need them. Let's have our unit right here. let's start the fight. We'll send our son to his death. Cue music. Cue any music you like, any historical or charge music. The one that comes to mind is actually Lord of the Rings when Return of the King, when Faramir charges out to retake the city. Basically suicidal charge because his dad is insane. Kind of like this situation where the dad is insane and the son is going to die for the father's sins. So he needs to charge over pretty quickly. We can speed things up. Really not much to see as he is just going to die. Once we climb over the hill, we're going to have vision on the enemy. Oh, nope. Wrong duel. My bad. That's not what we want. We'll have Huang Zhong run away. We'll have him do him instead. Don't make my mistake. That was silly. Alright. We can have Liu Biao go fight those infantry, because Liu Biao will actually get healed once the sun dies. Now hopefully Huang Gai didn't do enough damage to actually cause this duel to swing in the other way, but Liao Hua is pretty strong, and if we don't use abilities, there should be no issue. We can actually have our unit die off as well, because as you know, we already did all our diplomatic deals. And look at it, our son's dying. So Liao Hua, let's talk about him. Liao Hua is never historically a Yellow Turban. He's actually, see, we healed up after our son's death. Historically, he's never been a Yellow Turban. He was son of a wealthy family in the south. And when Liu Bei was starting up, he joined Liu Bei's faction. He worked under Guan Yu. And he actually lived a super long life. He didn't die just like this. We'll talk a little bit more once we go out. We can just claim victory here. Alright, we did it. It was a little messier than I wanted because we messed up the duel with Huang Zhong, but it's fine. So we get a little bit gold, we get a little bit income. And speaking of Liao Hua who died here, oh yes, the whole purpose here is to summon Lu Bu for free. If we want to recruit him otherwise, because that he has a heavy Xiliang cavalry in his retinue, it will be super expensive. It will be at least 5,000 gold. So this way, we get him out for free, which will help in many ways. Right away, we can utilize him from turn 1 on the battlefield. Our son obviously paid the blood price, but it's okay. Now, Lu Bu obviously doesn't get along with us either, but he's so much stronger than our son, we can forgive him for that. So we can use him right away. And another reason why we want him on the field is that if he's on the field, he'll never have lack of purpose. So at least we won't get extra declines that way. Because if you look at his positive factors, we have recently hired, and eventually after we give him a few rank up, he'll actually have recently promoted as well. And both of those will go down by 2 points a turn for a total of -4 a turn. So if we have also lack of purpose, it'll be -6 a turn, and we just can't handle that. So that's why we want him out on the field as soon as possible. So that means our son is going to die. But that's fine. We now have 3 legendary generals in 1 army. Very, very strong. Let's just wrap up our mission next by taking Xiangyang's toolmaker. Obviously, you can fight this to reduce loss, but we're going to disband the armies afterwards, so we're just going to delegate this. Alright, simple fight. Pick up a little bit more gold. Occupy. And we get support from the people. And our next mission is build a building for your economy grows. So here's where things get a little tricky. Let's disband and talk about things. We need to make Lu Bu happy. We need to rank up. And we also need to trigger our missions correctly. There is an exact order to do these things. So follow carefully, because if you mess up, you'll lose out on some bonuses that otherwise would be very helpful. So first thing first, we need to give Lu Bu a rank up. We need to rank him up twice. The first rank up is going to cost 40 gold up front plus 25 extra per turn. So this will give him plus 10 temporary satisfaction and plus 5 permanent satisfaction. And that's not enough to make him like us, so we need to rank him up one more time to patrol commander. This time it will cost 800. This rank up costs progressively more, but it's okay, we can afford it. So now he's a patrol commander, and as we said earlier, those 2 points of satisfaction matter a lot here because now you have +2. As you can see from the positive factor, we did mention that the 20 recently promoted and +20 recently hired are going to drop by 2 each for a total of -4 during your end turn phase. So if we leave him like this, after next turn, he's going to leave us because he will be -2. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to pop in an assignment. Now, our strategist here, Kai Yue over here, has a very lovely reward the filial and incorrupt assignment available because of his skills. We're going to be popping this on right away because this gives us 15 turns of +10 satisfaction faction wide. So this means even if we lose 4 points on Liu Biao, with the +10 that will activate during the end turn phase, he will still be at 8 points of satisfaction next turn. So he's going to help keep Liu Biao happy. And our last assignment slot, we have 2 of them because Liu Biao has nobility skill unlocked. We'll put Liu Cong, our heir, who can level up forever without incurring any desire for higher office. We're going to be boosting peasantry income here because we do have a ton of peasantry income. We have 245 actually. There's additional 25 here on the commandery building. So I'm going to put him on assignment to level him up as well. So now Liu Biao is taken care of. He's not going to leave us. That's mission number 1. Mission number 2 is what should we do about the buildings to trigger the mission for your economy grows. We could build something here in the 4th slot, but I'm going to make an argument that eventually we want to downgrade this from a city to a small city because the ideal build here in Xiangyang in the early game is 1 state workshop, 1 private workshop, and 1 lodging. Now lodging is a replacement building for the inn, and if you look at the lodging branch, the normal branch is the same exact branch as the inn buildings, right? You get the 200 flat, 120 income multiplier. But if you see the T branch, once you have T, you have the same economic value of 250 and 80, but you get additional 15% character experience boost. So this is the benefit of his faction unique building. But the punishment here, which is strange, is that instead of being a 1-turn building that costs just about 1,000 gold, the inn building chain, now called lodging for Liu Biao, even at tier 1, is going to cost you almost 2,000 gold and 3 turns to construct. I think this is actually pretty horrendous. So we're not going to build this first until we have our state workshop and private workshop in place, because each of those will give us 10% discount, and the toolmaker will give another 10%, so it'll be 30% discount, and we'll have our administrator in place and some assignments potentially. So we're going to wait out for that. Also critically, this 4th slot can't be a building that you want to keep. What do I mean by that? Since we're building 3 buildings, once we downgrade, whatever buildings in the 4th slot will go away. That means if we build a private workshop, like right here, because our money we only have 787 gold. So if we only can build a private workshop here, eventually once we downgrade, the private workshop is going to go away. Even if we have empty slots ahead of it, the 4th slot will be always the one taken away. So we don't want to build anything critical here, and we don't want to downgrade right away, because if we downgrade, we lose out on 4 prestige point that we can't make up. We can always go below 50 prestige point after we rank up, right? We can rank up to 2nd Marquis and then lose prestige point, but not lose the benefit of 2nd Marquis. So what we're going to do here is just demolish this military infrastructure building, because it's really not essential to our early game. We don't need it for public order, and we don't need it for the extra garrison, because we really don't have any enemies around us, and we have our generals around here. If you see any general that are injured, let's say Liu Biao here, you can feel free to recall them and summon them back next turn in Xiangyang. Liu Bu, don't recall him. If you recall him, you'll get lack of purpose and you'll be in trouble. So they're pretty healthy. We're just going to have them march back to the capital city. And that's it. We're not going to build anything to trigger your economy growth on turn 1. We're mission accomplished here. We got our seal. We got Liu Biao. No one's leaving us. Let's continue to turn 2. Actually, sorry. One thing we did forget. We need to cut our extra characters out. So we need to deal with some generals we have that we don't need to use. So we have Kaiyue over here, who is on assignment. He's also 34 years old, which is actually important here for Liu Biao's faction. Liu Biao has 3 additional court slots called the student, the tutor, the scholar. They rank up in that order. The student, as you can see, can only be characters age 18 to 35. So basically young character who just came of age from 18 to 35. You put them in this post. It doesn't increase their salary, so it's a salary-free post. They get a benefit of no desire for higher office until level 3, and they get 25% extra experience boost. This is the boost for student. Once we rank up to second marquis, we can see the boost for tutor. It's just basically a little bit better than the student, and it's for a little bit older characters, and the scholar is conversely a little bit better than the tutor, and you can unlock it once you become a duke, I believe. So here, Kaiyue, since he is our on assignment, we can give him this slot as well to help him gain extra experience from his assignment time, and since he will also have no desire till rank 3. So these slots are very good for growing your low level characters until rank 3, and the tutor I think is until rank 5, and I think scholar is until rank 7, and these positions are until rank 8. Administrators until rank 4, and the top tier characters are till rank 10, basically max rank. So at this point, he's useful, Huang Zhong's useful, Liu Biao's useful. Our wife or ex-wife is still very useful, because in the future, you can divorce her from Liu Biao and marry her off once again with another faction special character to bait them into our faction. Very similar to how we got Liu Biao. But these 2 characters here are not so useful. And this one has a salary of 175 per turn. This one has 100 gold per turn. So we're just going to get rid of these guys, release them from service. We're going to be keeping an eye on for new candidates that are better. Basically trimming cost. And at this point, we're at pretty much peak efficiency. We have almost 2,000 gold per turn, despite paying so much money out to other factions because we didn't get good ancillary items. And we can continue here. All right, so turn 2. Turn 2, if we look at Liu Biao's satisfaction, like we said, it's now at 8. It went up by 10 from 2 and dropped by 4 from the recently promoted and recently hired, and it will continue to drop by 4 every turn. So we have only 2 more turns before he leaves us. Remember that. We have to make him happy before 2 more turns. So we have to rank up within 2 turns. We got a huge list of characters, but no one really special. Technically, we could recruit him because we need another sentinel for our assignments. We're going to have extra assignments right away because we're going to be ranking up. So if you look at him, he's decent. We can take him in. He has pretty high expertise, and he has a grudge against his old faction, so he's definitely not a spy. And plus, Zheng Jiang doesn't start out high enough rank. She was just a low-level bandit, so she can't spy early on, so we don't have to worry about that. So let's pop him in. One thing we do have in this playstyle is we have lots of money because we trimmed a lot of cost away. So here, we have 2 open slots. What we're going to do, the order is very important here, is first we're going to build a private workshop here. And what we're going to do is we're going to rush this building right away. The reason for this is because we want to trigger your economy growth right away. And we also want to build administrative office on the same turn because Liu Biao, as we remember, only have 2 more turns with us. Now you might think, why don't we just do this? Why don't we just build the administrative office for the 5 prestige points, rank ourselves up next turn, and not have to worry about rushing a building right away? That's because once you rank up, the instant you rank up at building completion, all the early game missions go away. All these missions will be aborted, very similar to how when we're doing the Yellow Turban campaigns, the very first mission we're getting our first legendary book. If you rank up by accident, you actually abort that mission. So the early game mission that we don't want to lose is your economy grows, because there's so much saving in terms of time and cost here that we want to activate this mission first before we ever rank up. So we can't build this as our first building because once we rank up, it's gone. So we want to build the private workshop. This is the cheapest building to build. Takes only 1 turn, 500 gold, and rushing it only costs 650 more. So we're just going to rush it right here. Triggers the mission. We get the discount active. We get the construction time active. And we get this new mission. Now these missions are going to say goodbye because we're going to be ranking up. All the early game missions are going goodbye, which is fine. Get a little bit extra experience. Now we can pop in this building. We get a 20% discount on it, which is nice. And we can just have them continue to the capital next turn. So now we can continue to turn 3. Okay, it's turn 3. We got a mission issued for reaching the rank of Duke because we just hit the rank of 2nd Marquis. You see, mission aborted. Now, if you had built that building first, the mission that's being aborted will be your economy grow. That would be a very sucky bonus to miss out on. So we are now 2nd Marquis. Good things are happening. Let's go into the city itself. So at this point, there's a few things to note. We got an extra assignment, which is very nice. We're going to pop in our new sentinel we just recruited. If you see a sentinel early on, definitely consider just recruiting them just for the supervised construction bonus. And now we're going to downgrade the city to save ourselves food. Now technically from 6 food here to 2 food plus the 3 food that's being produced will be food positive. So our reserve will bounce back. We no longer will suffer from the minus 80k population growth, minus 35 public order, and minus 20 supplies. Seems like a good deal, right? But listen to me. We really, really, really want our public order to go down because the minus 35 is the fastest way you can trigger rebellions. Okay? Previously, I always just leveled up the tax collection building as high as we can to lower our public order to trigger rebellions, but actually having no food is the best way to trigger rebellions. Now obviously we can't do this forever because the minus 20 military supply is gonna hurt soon if we can't keep things up. But if we stay in our own territory, we'll never suffer from loss of military supply because we have faction bonuses from our cunning stat, we have character bonuses, and we're garrison. So the minus 20 isn't going to lower our military supply at all, so it's not going to impact us. But if we're traveling outside of our territory, what will happen is when you lose enough military supplies, you will be hitting attritions. But for us, this is okay. Being negative is totally fine right now. And we're going to summon Liu Biao back because he's all healed. And we ranked up. We downgraded this building, right? So we'll lose this building. We're going to use the savings to upgrade this building. And we're going to demolish. We're going to demolish our land development. Because as I said, our ideal build is state workshop, private workshop, and the lodge. Those 3 buildings and those 2 types of income, commerce and industry, doesn't care about population, right? Even population is 0, we won't matter because we don't get any peasantry income bonus, and that's pretty much all the loss we have. So feel free to rebel. We're gonna farm those rebellions. And at this point, we build something, we demolish something. Liu Biao is on his final straws of +4. Next turn, he's gonna leave us for good, but we ranked up. So guess what? He gets a promotion to become our chancellor. and immediately his satisfaction goes all the way up because at Chancellor level, you don't have any satisfaction desires until level 8, and he's only level 7, so he'll lose all his desire for higher office. He'll also boost our peasantry income by 15. Not really great, but we do get hit with a big salary, plus 350. But it's a price we have to pay of not making him our heir. If you don't want to pay this price, make him your heir and lose out on Liu Cong basically. And administrators, it's easier to recruit them here. You can see the bonus a little better. So Huang Zhong is our ideal guy for the administrative role. He has the highest discount, gets extra public order, which isn't that great considering we're trying to lower it, but the negative 35 is just so huge. No matter how you boost it, you're going to get rebellions right away. So we're going to max out our savings with negative 25 right here. And we can actually cancel that and build it afterward. That way we activate the bonus. And that's it. Let's continue to next turn. All right. Since we gave someone the position of Chancellor, we get extra experience the first time we do it. We forgot to activate the faction council missions because we have a Chancellor. But the mission's always going to be at war with Yuan Shu, which we will oblige. But we're going to wait till Yuan Shu conquer this jade mine. The fact that we're friends with the Han Empire kind of hinders us, because if you look at it, we're friends with everyone around us, so we can't really fight anyone. So that's why we have to create this ideal condition of constant rebellions to give us someone to fight. Keep an eye on recruits. Dong Zhuo, female, spy. Almost all the time, Dong Zhuo faction sends out spies to you. He's the only faction who's high enough rank. Just stay away from these ladies. You don't need a new wife. And not that great. We're basically going to wait for better characters to recruit. We got a nice item. Let's pop it on Liu Biao just to make him a little happier, although he is super happy with us right now. But he could use extra instinct. And we still kept a bow, which we didn't trade away. We can give it to someone. And he ranks up. We're going to be giving him the bottom row here. He's going to be a pretty good future administrator as well. If you don't want to play the rebellion style, he's the ideal administrator. You just need to wait one turn. Don't put Huang Zhong in. Get him the abundance skill and put him in. Take him off the assignment, put him in, because you get 5 food from just this skill alone, and you'll be food positive right away. Okay. Now we can build our state workshop. Well, we still have the discount for one last turn. And these buildings are going to be cheaper to build because we have the tax collection building active because the economic discount. And after the first rebellion triggers, you can destroy this building to make space for your lodging. You could also... you can't rush it. There's no way to rush it because there's only one turn left. So I guess it's perfect to destroy next turn after your first rebellion triggers. We can pick our first reform. Liu Biao's very lucky. Your first free reform is private tutor without you ever having to build the school building. So this is a win-win for us. Ideal for going Onyx Dragon Rush. You're not really going to be able to secure another trade route. Maybe you could. We could try it out. But another option obviously would be to take Regional Commissioner for minus 8% recruitment cost because we haven't recruited our first army first. This could be a massive amount of savings for that first full army recruitment. Alternatively, you can go this way to rank up your state workshop, private workshop to level 3. Grab this one. Oh, I guess the lodging building upgrade doesn't require any buildings. Typically, this is the level 4, level 5 in-building requirements, but as you can see for Liu Biao, it doesn't actually appear. So perhaps let's try the trade route since we don't need an army within 5 turns. Maybe we do. Yeah, maybe grab this one for the savings because I think we do want to start a war as soon as Yuan Shao grabs Nanyang because we want to take this away from him. And our first initial dilemma has to do with choosing between Yuan Shu and Sun Jian. And since he's so close to us and he doesn't like us, we might as well wipe him out early. So here we're good. We're waiting for our first rebellion. Things are pretty much settled at this point. Let's just take next turn. Okay, so you see, we have our first rebellion. He has an item on him, a foreman. There's a good chance we can get it once we kill him. Now, obviously, we might not get it, but that's fine. Liu Biao leveled up. Let's grab Understanding. This will also help increase our first army's rank by +1 once we do decide to recruit that army. And Liu Cong leveled up. Grab Nobility for extra assignment slot. Since we don't have an extra character for that assignment, scout around your pool. Maybe grab a strategist so you can boost extra commerce income once you build lodging. But it's not really that great. Maybe we can grab another vanguard to boost replenishment. Basically, check out your pool for useful generals for assignments. Actually, I don't like any of them. I might just grab him. He seems the most decent out of the bunch. Let's grab him. He can help us reduce mustering turns. So just someone useful. You start out the game with 4 assignments. You can't complain at this point. And we just have this army go wipe out that army. Help us rank up faster. And these are just auto delegate fights. And this is the farm rebellion strategy. You get a little bit of gold with each battle, almost 400. And you get experience. And you just pop back in. You're going to have a rebellion next turn as well. So what do you know? We can demolish this building to make room for our inn building. And we can spend a little bit of gold to upgrade our maybe toolmaker first. I think between these two, 3 turns, 4 turns. Okay, the 3 turns can be more efficient with our assignments. And just take another turn. And what do you know? Another rebellion right in front of you. We didn't get the 4 men, but this one has a local administrator. Maybe we'll get this one. Another easy delegate. And another almost 400 gold. I think exactly 400 gold. And we got a free character to join us. She came with a horse. We didn't get the ancillary item, did we? No, we just got the horse off the new character. But you see here, the rebellion is going to slow down a little bit because we destroyed the tax collection building. And we can even rush building down, build our economy up. And whenever you have a 1 turn downtime like this, right, it's going to be 2 turns till the next rebellion. So we can recall injured generals and then summon them back for full health. And you can just farm rebellions on repeat early on because you're stuck. You can't expand anywhere. You're waiting for Yuan to become aggressive to either attack us or attack the Jade Mine. The AI usually attacks the Jade Mine. And when you see him take the Jade Mine, that's your cue to load up a whole army and wipe him out. You have better generals, you have better items. If the early dilemma choice comes out, choose to side with Sun Jian and wipe out Yuan Shu first. Because you still have your wife. If you keep a decent enough relationship with Sun Jian early on, you can still potentially trade your wife to get his son Sun Ce, who's a great for a cavalry boost. Eventually though, after you deal with all the marriages, you want to expand south because you need to secure a tea resource and you don't want to leave Sun Jian unchecked. Another few things to note: if Cai Mao comes to you asking you for liberation, grant him liberty. Right now, we don't want to mess up our untrustworthiness, so we are not going to annex him. But the livestock farm is actually the perfect complementary building to our commandery because we don't have enough farm or we don't have enough food. So we want to be able to get some food, and the livestock farm here is the best option. So if he comes asking for independence, give it to him so we can attack him. And this land will open up a route for us to go through to attack Sun Jian, take over the south, and the rest of the campaign's super easy at that point, right? That's why Liu Biao is so simple. And He is not a big threat early on. Once you get a strategist army with some trebuchets, you can wipe him out very quickly as well. A few reforms you should keep your mind on after you wipe out Yuan Shu and take over Nanyang. Highly recommend you to grab the eunuch secretary for 1 additional administrator slot, and then you can pop him in, who will be at level 3 at least at that point because of the tutor position. We can get abundance to activate, and that would be enough food to carry us through the early game to have 2 small cities. They will be identical build. The Jade Mine is even better than the Toolmaker because it gives both commerce and industry. Now let's see what else we can talk about before we end this guide. We forgot to mention tutor. Because we ranked up, the tutor position actually become active right away. The tutor position, as you can see, is for age 35 to 55. You should put someone in right away because it gives additional 10% character experience faction wide. So as you can see, Liu Biao here is all about learning, all about boosting your character to higher levels and keeping them happy in your court position. And it's the salary is nothing to mind because we have decent amount of money, even though we're paying large amount of tributes out every turn. Eventually those 610 tributes will end after 10 turns, and we're getting decent amount of gold farming these rebellions as we build up our commandery. So that's our early game guide. It's a little bit short in terms of how many turns we played, but as you can see, we're very set up to conquer the rest of the world. We have decent generals, we have decent territories. These are very rich lands with Toolmaker, Jade Mine, and then we have access to the south. So that's our Liu Biao guide. Hope you have fun with this faction, and see you next time. Bye!